What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another video. And today we're going to talk about 6 things we learned from the qualifying in Imola. It was a very crazy session. There was, I believe, 5 red flags, and yeah, quite a few crashes, a few spin outs. Williams having a bit of trouble with the brakes once again, with Alex Albon not even able to set a lap time in. But the first thing that we are going to go over is Carlos Sainz, and that he is struggling under pressure. This is the 4th race weekend now. And he crashed out last time in Australia, so he needed to bounce back here in Imola. And after signing that 2-year extension to Ferrari, maybe that was going to give him the confidence to do so. But he crashes out in Q2, causing the red flag, which then meant no one else could go on another flying lap, because obviously it started raining towards the end of the session. And it's been a very disappointing start this season for Carlos Sainz. You know, you're in the fastest car on the grid. And he just hasn't been able to get the performances in. He got P2 in Bahrain, and ever since then, he's been struggling. He's been crashing out in Australia, crashed out again here in qualifying, and not very good for him to be starting from P10 in the sprint race. And I just hope he doesn't try and overcompensate it, because he could find himself facing the wrong way again, just like he was in Australia. So the sprint race is kind of a chance for him to redeem himself. If he can get back up to maybe P4 behind his teammate Verstappen and Perez, if Perez manages to get up there, then I feel like that'll be a successful sprint race and he can maybe do something in the race. But he needs to start delivering for Ferrari soon, because they need to take advantage of this while they still can. Because Red Bull, once they fix their reliability problems, and maybe once Mercedes figure out their problems, they need to make sure they have a comfortable lead ahead so that they're not too much under threat come the end of the season. Second topic we're going to go over is Mercedes still have big problems. You can see it there. First time since 2012 Japanese Grand Prix, I think they were saying, since we've seen no Mercedes car in Q3. Granted, the way they got knocked out, a little unlucky. Carlos Sainz red flag. They were going to go for another push lap. The first lap was more of a prep lap to warm up the tyres, but the Mercedes just looks slow. You know, Hamilton was 4 milliseconds away from being knocked out in Q1, and I think that says it all. The pace of the car just isn't there. And another thing to go over is Russell is actually outperforming the 7-time world champion right now. So I'm not sure what it is with Hamilton. Maybe he's just a bit... he doesn't like the feel of the car, or maybe mentally he's just not there, because if he wins that 8th World Championship, then he can kind of relax and he won't be too on the edge. But he wants that 8th World Championship. And in this car, he is not even going to get close to winning it. So Mercedes need to sort out their problems sooner rather than later. Otherwise, Lewis Hamilton, he's going to be on the phone to Toto and maybe asking for a way out. Third thing is McLaren. McLaren had a fantastic weekend, and they have proved that Australia was not a fluke. In Australia, they got a P4 and P5 finish. No, P5 and P6 finish in Australia, and that is fantastic points for McLaren, who looked way off the pace in the first race of the season when they actually looked like the slowest team on the grid. But to get P5 and 6 in Australia was huge for them, and to come now into Imola, which is a completely different track to Australia, and show that they can get a car in, both cars in Q3, one up in P3 and another down in P6, I think shows that this McLaren has actually found a bit of pace, and they could be up there fighting against Mercedes at this rate, and might even be able to pull away from them if Mercedes cannot find this pace. So great weekend for McLaren. Lando Norris putting in a good lap before he brought out the final red flag at the end of the session. But great weekend so far for McLaren. Let's hope they can continue on in the sprint race and on Sunday as well. Fourth thing, Kevin Magnussen is the real deal. K-Mag, what a driver. You saw in the wet, it was free practice 1. If you would have watched that earlier, in the wet, he was showing that he had serious pace in that Haas, and he brought that all the way through in qualifying. And to put a Haas car in P4, it's the best Haas has ever finished in qualifying, just shows that they have serious pace. And they're going to be a threat as well. So you look at all these teams, they're leapfrogging Mercedes. If Mercedes can't find a problem soon, they're going to fall down the pecking order, and they might have a season that Ferrari did in 2020, where they find themselves 6th or 7th in the constructors. Granted, I don't think that happened. I think they'll find the problems within the next few races, and then they'll jump right back up and they'll be fighting for pole positions. But if they don't, they could be in big trouble this season. Fifth thing we're going to go over is Aston Martin have finally found some pace. Sebastian Vettel showing why he is a 4-time world champion and showing why people should not be sleeping on him. To get that car into Q3 after last weekend, you know, he's hardly been in this Aston Martin car. For the first 2 races he had COVID, and then last week, problems in free practice 1, and then he was just crashing out. He just couldn't get a handle of it in Australia, so not much time in the car. Finally gets a bit more this weekend, and he's shown what he can do. And he's delivered. He's got it into Q3. Alpine also have been up there as well. They brought some new upgrades this weekend, and they've shown that they do have pace with Fernando Alonso. But Esteban Ocon had a problem. So for Alpine, that is also an issue. But luckily for them, they do have a sprint race to try and claw back a few positions for the race start on Sunday. Last thing we're going to go over is AlphaTauri and how it is a disappointing home Grand Prix for them. You know, you come to Imola, it's your home Grand Prix, you're looking to show something, at least get into Q2. Both cars out in Q1. Where's the pace gone? It's just disappeared. This track clearly doesn't suit them, even though their factory is 10 miles away, or 10-12 miles away from the track. So they would have done a lot of testing around this track. So quite surprising that they were unable to get through to at least Q2. And with someone of Pierre Gasly's talent, he won't want to be hanging around in this car if it's going to stay at this pace. So they need to find some serious pace for Sunday. Hope they have a better race car, because otherwise it's going to look like a long weekend for them. Those are the 6 main topics that I wanted to go over of what we learned in, I was about to say Saturday, in Friday's qualifying this weekend. We do have the sprint race tomorrow for Imola, and I will be doing the same thing tomorrow as well. I hope you guys have a great day, and if you did like the video, go ahead and like and hit the subscribe button as well while you're down there. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Peace.